it's also an important job because it's got everything to do with our kids' futures. And that's very important to us because they're actually going to be looking after our old society. When we're old, our kids are going to be looking after us, hopefully, so we want to make sure we do a good job with them in this generation. Thank you for having me. So I believe we're going to be spending about an hour and a half together. So, okay. As Mitsu knows, I tend to sit on the floor.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, we run a teacher development company called English Uplift. The reason we started this company, in addition to my teaching responsibilities, was because we often get asked to speak to teachers, and it was usually by publishing companies, because publishing companies tend to put on these big workshops, and it's a great opportunity to speak to lots of teachers. But the problem is that you're usually asked to talk about the materials, how to use the textbooks, how to this and that, which is already well. But sometimes the conversations we had with the teachers there showed us that they were lacking in some fundamental areas and issues with their teaching that we couldn't really address because it wasn't our place to. So my wife and I decided to start our own, or create our own opportunities to speak to teachers. So we've developed this thing called English Uplift. That's my wife and I. This is like Hirami. She loves to study. She's also worked very closely with several boards of education in Tokyo and other areas too, working with public elementary school programs and giving them assistance about that. That's actually where we first met. So we met like 20 years ago before I came to Hello Kids. We were working in a school together. I arrived in Japan in 1994. Did some light teaching, but it wasn't really anything because I wasn't very good and I wasn't even interested. I never wanted to be a teacher, actually. But I became a teacher because that's what they, at the time in 1994, they said, well, of course you're a teacher because you speak English and you're a native. And I remember saying, well, how do you teach? And they said, well, nobody knows that. Just like, just stand in the front of the classroom and do some flashcards and you'll be fine. So I actually ended up teaching in elementary schools for 11 years, including Tokyo's Chuoku, Sumida, Arakawa. And that was all very well, but I lost a lot of motivation when they did a bidding system. That is, the cheapest company gets it. Doesn't matter how good you are or how much you dedicate yourself to it. If your contract is more expensive than another one, you go, the next company is in. So I lost a lot of motivation there. And luckily Yoshi was looking for a teacher at that time. And through the publishing company Apricot that produces the textbooks, he contacted me, and the rest is history. I started working here in 2006, taught at Hello Kids Preschool English School, coordinated teacher development meetings and training, and I am now, I've presented at more than 75 English education seminars and conferences around Japan. It's something I quite enjoy, and I'm now the director of an English immersion preschool in Kiba. I do like this kind of thing, these meetings. I love meetings with teachers to discuss our development as teachers. I think that stems from when I first started working. I found myself in a small team of teachers who just, we were all new, but we realized this job was very important. So we began swapping ideas and working together very quickly as a team. And so far, these are some of the areas that I have presented at. All of these actually, except this one, the Tokyo ETJ Language Teaching Expo, I did apply to present at that one. But all the others, I was asked. I didn't really knock on anybody's door. They contacted me and said, please share your ideas with us here. And so that's who I am. I think it is our keyword, but it's not the most important keyword. Results. Results are not the most important keyword. I think the process is very, very important as well. But you can measure the process by the results that you get. So it's hard to know where to start when it comes to teacher development until you're clear on what kind of results you want. So this is one of the first things I think teachers should ask themselves: what kind of result do you want from your students to gain from your teaching? So maybe let's share our ideas. They could be, we should discuss what our answers are and maybe find some similarities or some differences. So, all right, Roman, what results do you want?
Thank you for putting me first. I
Noah,
think
do you want some coffee?
Oh, I'm okay.
You okay?
I would say first, for sure, would definitely be what should I say? Creative and cognitive development. So somewhere along the lines of ingenuitive thinking, being able to use patterns we give them, being able to create new patterns using previous rules or methods. Something as well as like social responsibility, ethical values. I think that's maybe tied for first for sure, and I think they're very connected. Social responsibility, accountability, as well as what should I say, like how do I even say this? Like a sense of like socially integrated life, basically able to adjust to social expectations. You know, for instance, being able to accommodate your language to the social situation and what is your expectation in that environment.
Okay. So just want to know, what do you mean here? Create new patterns.
So I think generally a lot of language learning, and not just language learning, but even with other sciences, with even philosophical things like ethics or whatnot, you have to be able to experiment properly with many of the things that you're given. So as teachers, we give them non-target language in English. We give them things to have like small, meaningful contributions. But for them to really learn how to speak English, they have to be able to integrate these pieces of grammar or these vocabulary pieces we give them into a way that becomes intelligible to the person that they're receiving it to. Same goes for sciences, same goes for art. It's not just the ability to succeed by developing new ways of inquiry, new methods of inquiry, by saying like, oh, what if I tried A instead of B this time? So divergent path. They also have to fail to be able to understand where they need to refine themselves for the next time. So letting them be able to fail is, I think, another part of that, where utilizing the small intelligible bits we give them to make something bigger later on. Because it's not just learning how to, we're not teaching monkeys, right? I mean, teaching them to like type up Shakespeare, we're teaching learners. And I guess the job of a teacher is to make lifelong learners, is it not?
Right. So you want, the results you want are kids who become lifelong learners.
Yeah. Yeah, an attitude of instilling for that.
Yeah, good. All right, great. Yeah.
Wow, that was a lot of words. I also would like to. I like to teach kids how to enjoy learning, not only like enjoy learning through the different activities.
How to enjoy learning.
And I don't know. I think he said many of the things I was thinking.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Mitzi, can you add something? What results do you want your students to gain from your teaching?
I want them to learn from their mistakes, not to be afraid of making mistakes.
Right.
And they just say it, even if they make a mistake.
Learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the, how can I say, that's the most thing, like most of the weak point of Japanese. Yeah, we're always like afraid of making mistakes.
Right. I'm making mistakes.
Yeah, especially when we have conversation with foreign people.
Right.
Yeah, like who cares your mistakes?
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
They understand eventually. Anyway.
You'd be very surprised. Teachers in Japan, I'm not really sure in other countries, but it's so striking how infrequently teachers ask themselves this question. They're not clear on what the results they want. My specialty is English, obviously English teaching, but the English teachers are not clear on what they want. They're always like, well, one of the big ones you'll get is lessons have to be fun. I'm like, yes, but that's not the goal. The result is not, well, let's just have fun. I mean, of course it's got to be fun, but that's not the. So there's that one. A lot of Japanese teachers are so scared. I'm saying Japanese English teachers because I have a lot of experience working with them. Currently, I'm working with 22 Japanese teachers throughout Japan. And when you speak to them initially, they're so concerned about not having kids dislike English. Right? You've met those teachers before? I just don't want my kids to, I want my kids to like English. But I'm like, that's nice, but English is a tool. I mean, if you ask a Japanese person, do you like Japanese? They're like, I like it. You just use it. That's right. There's no need to like English. It's a tool, right? I don't like forks. You know what I mean? It's a tool. So teachers very rarely ask themselves specifically what results do they want from their teaching. And so they just go along the motions and they don't seem to know. You meet teachers who've been teaching for a very long time and they don't know whether their kids are improving or not because they don't know the direction that they're going. A lot of English education in Japan is very point-based. Point, but there's no line. So they don't know where they're going. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this is what I want. You don't have to agree, but everything that I do in the classroom, in the back of my mind, I've got this result that I want. My students need to have three things. They need to have language, strategy, and willingness. They need these three things to do four things. They need the language to do 4 things, they need the strategy, the thinking to do these 4 things, and they need the willingness to do 4 things. And the first thing that I think the kids really need is they need the language and the strategy and the willingness to overcome problems. This is very important because the reason this one came up into my results that I want is because every generation experiences problems in their adult life. And the problems that we experience as adults often were not there when we were kids. You know, obesity was never a problem when we were kids. Cybercrime was not a big problem when we were kids. So a lot of the problems that are going to be happening in the future, we don't even know what they are, but there will be problems. So the kids will need to have the language to overcome the problem, the strategy, and also the willingness to do it. That's the first one, overcome problems. Be respectful of other people. They need to have the language, the strategy, and the willingness to be respectful of other people. To create and present original ideas. All problems are going to need ideas. And you can create them very nicely in your home, but you need to be able to have the language, the strategy, and the willingness to present them as well. And to appreciate the differences in ideas. The ideas will be different, but you can't just don't like that idea, bang. You know? So to appreciate the differences in ideas, you're going to need these 3 things: language, strategy, and willingness. So that's kind of the result that I want. The best way to achieve any of the results that you want is to start doing them in the classroom now. If you want your kids to be not afraid of making mistakes, make sure they make mistakes. Create opportunities for your kids to make mistakes. Now learn how to enjoy learning. That's a tough one because you can't control enjoyment, really. That's a very personal thing. For my results, because these are the results that I want the kids to achieve, in the classroom, I create problems for the kids to overcome. A lot of teachers don't like problems. Okay? They don't want any problems. They want the lesson to be smooth, go really well, sailing off into the sunset, no problems, I thrive on problems in the classroom. The problems, the things, the unexpected things that happen, the CD player doesn't work, or the lights have gone off, or anything. There's a problem. I love it. In the classroom, I'm always respectful of other people, and I also demand that the kids get respectful. I will not tolerate any disrespect. For example, if somebody makes a mistake, other kids laughing at that, I'm fairly shh, don't laugh, right? I give the kids lots of opportunities to create and present original ideas. You're working with a textbook series called Learning World. That's good because there are many opportunities in that textbook, in those textbooks, for the kids to create and present original ideas. That's a big thinking behind Nakamoto Sensei. She created the series. That's a big one. We're going to be discussing that in more detail on Thursday. To appreciate the differences in other people's ideas when people are presenting their ideas. Kids need to be watching and listening, otherwise they can't appreciate that. So, right. Video time. We're going to watch a video. We're going to be watching a video of preschool kids. What activity are they doing? Okay. Hyperlink. Whoa.
See, problem happens.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
Nice.
All right, no worries. We'll just have to
He thrives on it in the classroom. He said it himself.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. I'm going to go there manually. Okay. What activity are they doing, right?